Okay, let me ask you a really quick question to kick things off. When you come inside after a long afternoon of playing outside, running around the park or digging in the garden, what is that brown stuff you have to carefully scrub off your hands and feet before dinner? I'll give you a second to shout it out. Did you say soil? Or maybe dirt? Well, if you did, you're absolutely right. It's soil.
Welcome, Focus Learners, to today's Explainer. We're going on a very special interactive journey designed especially for Class 3 learners. But honestly, it's fascinating for anyone curious about the natural world. We're going to look down, way down, to uncover the secrets of soil. It might look like just plain old dirt to you right now, but by the time we're done, you're going to see that the ground beneath our feet is actually alive, complex, and just totally amazing. So, instead of a boring agenda, here is our exploration plan for today. First up, what exactly is soil? Second, the slow recipe for soil. Third, what is hiding inside? Fourth, why we need soil. And finally, saving our Earth soil.
Section 1. What exactly is soil? Let's dive into this first stop and figure out exactly where this stuff comes from. To understand soil, we actually have to zoom way out and look at the whole Earth. Just like a loaf of bread has a crust on the outside, well, our planet does too. The Earth's crust is simply the giant, solid outer skin of our planet. It's the outermost layer where literally everything we know exists. The vast oceans, the sweeping deserts, the towering mountains, and the cities we live in. They're all sitting right on top of this crust. And soil is actually just a super thin, brownish layer sitting right on top of that hard crust. Think of it like a very thin blanket. But this blanket acts like a giant anchor. Just like human-made structures, like houses and poles, remain fixed in the soil, the roots of all those green bushes and plants are grabbing onto that thin brown layer to stay perfectly in place. Section 2. The slow recipe for soil. So, imagine this. How do massive, rock-hard boulders turn into the soft dirt you can squish between your fingers? Well, nature has a very specific and very slow recipe to make soil, and the secret word here is weathering. Weathering is this continuous process where a powerful team, the sun, the rain, and the wind, work together over hundreds of thousands of years. First, the sun heats up the solid rocks during the day, and then they cool down at night. This constant heating and cooling weakens them. Then rain and wind smash into them, breaking them apart into tiny pieces. And finally, the remains of dead plants and animals mix right into those tiny rock dust particles. So imagine the story of a bare rock slowly transforming over time. First you have this bare, solid rock just baking under the hot sun. Then dark clouds roll in, and heavy rain and fierce winds start cracking that rock apart. Eventually, the rocks are completely broken down into sand and dirt, and you'll get things like a dead snake or fallen dead leaves mixing into it. And finally, because of all that incredibly hard work, the soil is ready, and a beautiful little green sprout can finally grow. It takes hundreds of thousands of years just to get to that little sprout. Section 3. What is hiding inside? Now, what's really interesting is discovering the secret ingredients hiding inside the dirt you play in. Because soil isn't just one thing, it's a mixture. If you look really closely at soil, you'll see it's actually made up of different-sized rock particles. Picture them getting smaller and smaller in your mind. The absolute biggest pieces are stones. Smaller than stones are pebbles. Smaller than pebbles is sand, like the kind you build castles with at the beach. Even smaller than sand is silt. And the very smallest rock particle in soil, that's clay, which feels completely smooth and powdery to the touch. But here's the thing. Broken rocks alone can't feed a plant. Soil needs a magic ingredient, and that ingredient is called humus. Humus is organic matter. When living organisms, like plants and bugs and animals die, their remains get mixed into the soil and break down. This humus is basically nature's magic vitamins. It provides essential nutrients, making the soil fertile so that new, young plants can grow up big and strong. But wait, there are invisible things hiding in the soil too. I challenge you to try a couple of jar experiments at home to see for yourself. If you put some soil in a glass jar, seal the lid on super tight, and leave it out in the hot sun, you'll pretty quickly see tiny water droplets forming on the inside of the glass. The heat is actually turning the hidden water inside the soil into water vapor. Or try pouring water into a jar full of soil. You'll immediately see bubbles rushing to the top. Those bubbles are trapped air escaping because the water is taking its place. So dirt isn't completely solid at all. It actually holds secret water vapor and invisible air bubbles.
And hey, here's a really fun surprise fact. Did you know that earthworms are known as the farmer's best friend? It's totally true. These hard little workers burrow deep into the ground, digging tiny tunnels everywhere they go. And this is actually amazing for the ground because it constantly loosens the dirt, which allows all that trapped air we just talked about to reach the roots of the plants, making the soil even more fertile.
Section 4. Why we need soil. So, the crucial point now is figuring out why all this dirt actually matters to you, to me, and to the whole planet. Well, for starters, farmers use it to grow food. Almost all useful plants need soil to live, which means we absolutely rely on it for our food too. But it's also a home. Tiny animals like snails, earthworms, and ants live right in it. Small animals like rats, rabbits, and groundhogs dig holes and live safely underground. And humans? We even use clay soil to make pots, bricks, and build mud houses. Soil also does an incredibly important job that you can't even see. Think about a muddy puddle on the ground after a big storm. You definitely wouldn't drink that, right? But underneath the ground, the soil acts like a giant magical sponge. As rainwater travels deep down through the many layers of soil, the dirt naturally filters out the bad stuff. By the time it collects deep underground, it's filtered, purified, and cleaned, making it perfectly fit for human use. How cool is that? Section 5. Saving our Earth's soil. Let's move to our final section and see how all of this builds into a really important mission for every single one of us. Because as amazing as soil is, it's currently in danger. We need to talk about something very serious called soil erosion. Soil erosion is the dangerous loss of our precious top layer of soil. Remember how we talked about it just being a very thin blanket on the Earth's crust? Well, running water, strong winds, crashing waves, and moving glaciers can actually wash or blow that perfectly good soil entirely away. And this is a massive problem. Remember our slow recipe from earlier? It takes hundreds of thousands of years for nature to make a small amount of soil from rocks, but it can be lost in an absolute flash during a bad storm. If the soil washes away, farmlands are totally ruined. Plants lose their homes and their food, and trees just cannot survive on eroded lands. So how do we stop it? Well, there's a great story about a girl named Amrita. Amrita saw a gardener sweeping up dead leaves under a tree to burn them, and she immediately stopped him. Why? Because she knew that leaving plant parts alone, like dead leaves and short crop stems, right there on the ground helps cover the soil. The roots of plants and trees act like giant fingers, holding the soil safely together so the wind and rain just can't steal it away. So, what can you do to prevent soil erosion? Think about Amrita. Think about the earthworms. Just by planting more grasses, flowers, and trees in your neighborhood, their roots will grab onto the dirt, holding it tight against the rain and wind. You literally have the power to be a hero and save the Earth's soil one plant at a time. Thanks so much for exploring with me today, and keep asking questions about the amazing world right beneath your feet.